This is the Grind to Greatness podcast, your dose of unapologetic tough love. These are your hosts, Mary Hodges and Ashley Kane.
Welcome to the Grind to Greatness podcast. I'm Ashley Kane, and Mary Hodges is here with me, of course. And we are going to kick off today, whenever you're listening, with an awesome topic. To follow up on last week's show, we are going to talk all about goal setting.
Woo woo! Last week we talked about vision, and that was really the big picture of what kind of life you want. And we encouraged you guys to download our Life Designer Toolkit to start planning your vision, to plan what you want for your life. Well, the next obvious step from there, once you kind of have a vision for what you want, would be to plan your goals. Plan goals that align with your vision. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about a couple of different goal setting theories that you can implement in your own life, and what each element means, how you use it to set your own goals. And then Ashley and I are going to give some feedback on our thoughts about each theory, how they work together, and what you can do to make sure that as you're going throughout the year that you're staying on track with your goals, even when you've lost motivation and even when things get challenging. The first goal setting theory, and then if you've ever done anything, relating to goals or done any goal research, you've probably heard of the principles of SMART goal setting. I'm going to let Ashley kick off what the elements of SMART goal setting are, and we will give you some feedback on how you actually create a SMART goal.
So you've probably all heard about the goal setting strategy called SMART goals. It's an acronym. And there's a couple different variations of the goals. So the first letter is an S, of course, specific. A good goal should be specific so you know exactly what you want to accomplish. Avoid setting vague and general goals. And I just want to make a side note. I know last week we talked about not getting too specific, and I think that's in your overall vision because it can block you. But now we want to get down to the nitty gritty. We do want to get specific about a goal, and you can have a lot of different goals. So here's a few examples. So here's a goal that kind of needs a little bit of tweaking. Work out 3 days a week. It's very general. It doesn't hold you accountable for anything. So here's how you can tweak it. A better way to say it would be work out for an hour Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 6 a.m. So I know you can see the difference. It's very specific. It gives you a deadline almost, so you can hold yourself accountable and you know exactly when you're going to be working out. The M in SMART goals is for measurable. You must be able to measure your results and keep track of your progress. You have to know whether you've achieved this goal or not. So we're going to stick with the gym losing weight theory. So here's a goal that kind of needs some tweaking again. Lose weight. The better goal to set would be lose 20 pounds by June 1st, 2017, 18, whatever you want to say. So you're going to quantify your goal. And you can use milestones. So you can say, okay, well, I'm going to break that 20 pounds down to 4 pounds in 5 weeks. However you can feel that you can achieve this goal. The A in SMART is for actionable. There's a few different variations of that A that I've heard, but we're going to go with the actionable. Your goal should start with a verb. Describe the action that you need to take and avoid using state of being verbs. So for example, this is a goal that needs a little bit of help. Be more present for my family. A better way to say that would be spend 1 hour of uninterrupted time with my family at 8 o'clock each weekday. So it gives you a specific time, you hold yourself accountable, and you know when you're going to do it so you can actually schedule it into your planner or your calendar. The R in SMART is going to be risky. Your goal should be challenging. It should push you out of your comfort zone, which I love that. If a goal is going to be too easy, you're not really stretching your limits, and you may be able to accomplish it and you'll feel good about it, but did it propel you to be better? Did it put you in a forward momentum? There's a fine balance here between setting risky goals and a goal that's unrealistic. And how do you find that balance?
Yeah, let me chime in there. And I think, because the R in some people's theory stands for realistic. And I kind of think that's a dangerous way of looking at goal setting, because you can easily fall in the trap of setting goals that are too easy. And if they're too easy, you're more than likely not going to stay motivated, right? You have to challenge yourself to be excited about something. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. You know, you're an employee. You don't have any plans to start your own business, or you don't have some type of patent on an invention that could potentially be worth millions of dollars. Is it reasonable for you to set a goal to make $250,000 next year when you don't really have an identifiable plan that's going to get you there? You want to be risky in the sense of maybe that person is, I want to start this business on the side of my job where I'm making $50,000 a year. And I want to incur $30,000 of revenue. That might be something that's risky. They're starting a business, a new venture, while they're already working, and they've set a goal of bringing in revenue. So it just depends on where you are in your life as to whether or not that goal is going to be risky enough to push you out of your comfort zone, but not unrealistic to where you're like, there's just no way I can do that, to where you give up. So again, it's a fine balance. You have to kind of work through that and tweak it. And maybe something that you need to adjust as time goes on and once you learn more about your patterns and your habits.
So another example of risky goals versus super safe goals would be going back to the losing weight factor. So say your current weight is 450 pounds and you want to set a goal of losing 20 pounds in 1 year. That's probably a really safe goal and you're not going to be motivated. Another way that you could do it is, say your current weight is 450, losing 100 pounds in 1 year. The goal should make you feel a little nervous, but yet still challenging you to feel like you can get to that goal if you challenge yourself. Also, in the line of the SMART goals acronym, the T is going to be time-based. The goal should have a deadline. I love deadlines because it holds you accountable. It's a way to measure yourself when you will accomplish something. And deadlines are good for goals that are centered around achieving something. They're good for goals that are centered around a specific result. Again, losing weight. That's one way to say it. But a better way to set the goal is losing 20 pounds by a specific deadline.
And again, with deadlines, so you might have a goal that is based upon ending at a certain time. So losing weight by June 1st, 2017. And we've used that example before. But if you have a goal that's structured around creating a habit, right? So working out 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m., there's not actually a specific deadline in the future that you want to accomplish that goal. You're actually trying to build in a habit. So the time-based in that sense needs to be like what days of the week, what time of day. Very specific in that way. So as you can see, these elements of goal setting will help you get really, really clear on what you want. And one of my favorite people to follow online, his name is Michael Hyatt, and he's like a guru on productivity. He has somewhat modified the SMART goal into smarter goals. So the rest of that is the E would be exciting. Your goal should excite you. You should set a goal and a why and a motivating factor for that goal that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. If it's something boring and dull, you're going to be more likely to give in when the time gets tough. It should be something that really, really excites you. For instance, this year, one of my goals was to launch a podcast. I actually initially had set the goal for April 1st. And, for whatever reason, things, the life from January, February, March was getting challenging. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make that deadline. Well, I ended up, meeting with Ashley, and you've heard how we decided to start the podcast together. And even though I didn't make that April 1st deadline, we made the goal ourselves together to hold each other accountable for May 1st. And we made that. And that was a goal that was really exciting for the both of us because we had each other to kind of, share the excitement with. It was a goal that we could not miss. And the last R would be relevant. And this goes back to your vision. Is the goal that you're setting actually relevant to your vision? Is it in line? Is it aligned? Again, smarter goals, specific, measurable, actionable, risky, time-based, exciting, and relevant. All right. So now that you know what a smarter goal is and you have the tools to set your own smarter goals, we're going to bring in a new theory. And this one was from one of my favorite online influencers. His name is Brendon Burchard. He's one of the, most highly respected performance coaches on the planet. And I saw a YouTube video of him that we will share in the show notes where he talked about the fact that he hates SMART goals. He hates SMART goals. And I think part of that is due to the fact that the R is typically used for realistic and the A is typically used for achievable, not actionable. So if you look at it from that standpoint, he thinks that SMART goals aren't challenging enough and it's keeping people thinking small. Actually, why don't you kick off what dumb goals, his theory, stands for?
All right, so dumb goals is a pretty cool theory as well, too. Throughout human existence, there are tons of people who have done the impossible, right? So he basically gives the example of Christopher Columbus didn't set a SMART goal when he sailed across the world. He actually used a dumb goal. But the dumb goal is effective. So the dumb goal is dream or destiny driven. What is something that is beyond your wildest imagination that if you achieved it, it would be your total dream? Start with that dream and then how will it come to fruition? And so a quote from him is, "It's the why that fires the human soul much more than the how." And that kind of goes back to last week's episode with what's your why. So they go hand in hand with each other. The U in dumb goals is for uplifting. Pay attention to the wording and the labels you use. There's an example that Brendan uses, and he believes I want to lose 20 pounds is boring and unexciting. And the lose is actually, it's a deficit. So it's it's a negative. It's taking you away from your goal. So it should be positive. It should be compelling. Like, I want to look great in my bathing suit, or I want to feel vibrant and sexy. So you get the difference. The method friendly is the M in dumb. How can you create a practice around your goal that makes it happen a lot easier? If you want to be incredibly fit, what practices will allow you to live in that goal consistently? The method could be done by doing yoga and working out 3 times a week. The B in dumb is behavior driven. So you need to set up triggers that will make us create the practice. Every time I leave work on Wednesdays, I'm going to a spinning class. Set up various triggers to help you accomplish the goal over time. So maybe you set your gym clothes right by your nightstand, or maybe you go to sleep in your gym clothes so when you wake up, you're ready to go.
Yeah, so I'd be curious to hear the audience's thoughts by sharing with us, on social media. What type of goals do you like better? Do you like the SMART or the smarter goals? Or do you think you're somebody that would be drawn to the dumb goals? Personally, for me, I think there's a place for both of them. I really think what Brendan is saying about the dumb goals is that you gotta have some big picture thing that excites you. And for me, I think that's your vision. And we talked about that last week. That's the first step. That's ground zero of living with intention and creating the life you were meant for. What is that vision? What is that dream of yours that if it could come true, it would be everything to you? So the dumb goal is really centered around your vision. And where I think SMART goals come into play are more on the micro level of, okay, now that I have this dream, now that I have this vision, how am I going to get there? And I think he does have some good concepts on having methods. And the method in this case would be the SMART goal, having action items that are specific, that you can measure based on time, that you can set up behavior triggers to help you get there. So I think there could actually be a marriage between the two so that they work together. What do you think about that, Ashley?
I actually totally agree with you on that theory. The dumb goal for me is that vision, that dream, that overall general picture, like we talked about last week. Don't make it too specific. So my ultimate vision is to work in radio, be in the media, and radio has a different, like I was saying, has a different meaning now. So the podcast, public speaking, that's my ultimate vision. But my SMART goals, or my smarter goals, are those action items that I will take to get to that big picture. And I may not know exactly the direction of the big picture, but I know the general area that I want to be in. And so I will set my SMART or my smarter goals to tailor around that big vision. So they do go hand in hand. I don't think you can have one without the other. You can't just go out there, just have a dream and not take action. So we do have to take the action to get to the item that we want.
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, and we're going to talk about action in just a minute. But, so now you have a formula, or two formulas that you can kind of combine for creating effective goals, right? Because anyone can set a goal, but the goal has to really be effective. And in thinking about effective goals, so now you've set a goal, okay? What are you going to do when time gets challenging? What are you going to do when you don't feel like doing it? That's going to happen to all of us. I don't know how many times I've set a goal and not achieved it, or set a goal and had been, moving towards it, but then got tired and it was challenging. How do you stay motivated? Well, for each goal, number one, you should have something, your why. You should have a sub why, I guess, if you want to think of it that way, that you attach to each goal. So if your goal is about losing weight, what is it? Why is it that you want to lose the weight? What is that thing it's going to do for you? How is it going to make you feel? Think about those positive end results and outcomes, because there is going to be a time where you get tired, where you lose motivation, or where your momentum wanes. And you're going to need those key factors and those motivating factors to push you forward when the time gets tough. So not only that, but you also have to have a process for actually reviewing your goals. And what I think, I've done a lot of work on goal setting, and I've done some courses I talk about Michael Hyatt. He's one of my favorites, but I did a goal setting course with him, and he talked about the importance of setting a review process. Having that helped me extremely. So, when you set a goal, you should look at your goals daily. And it might only take a minute or two of your time to look at the goals you've set for yourself for the year. They should just be top of mind. And the things that you're doing throughout the day should be somewhat moving you towards those goals. So what I do personally, and I can share with you guys in a screen share or a video in the show notes about how I have my goals set up in my project management system, and what I do on a daily and weekly basis to review the goals and then keep track of my progress weekly, monthly, every 90 days, every 6 months. So I have them kind of broken down, where you pick the goal and you kind of reverse engineer backwards, okay, what do I need to do? So a goal review process is going to be something that kind of helps keep you on track as well. Ashley, do you have any experience with setting goals and having to review them throughout the year, and whether or not that's worked for you?
So that's actually been a huge challenge for me. Is I'll set the goals, write them down, and I'm like, oh yeah, I set that goal. What happened? What I've been using is the 5-second rule. It's not really a review process, but it's an actionable thing that I can do, because I'm never going to feel like going to the gym. I'm never going to feel like waking up an hour early. So I just use the 5-second rule, and I use my handwritten planner, and I force myself to open it up every morning, and I put it by my bed. So that allows me to hold myself accountable to the goals that I've actually set in life.
Well, that's great. Thanks for that feedback, because I think the reality for a lot of people is that they do set goals and they have challenges obtaining them. For one, most people don't even set goals. That's number one. They just wake up and go. If they do set goals, they're kind of just, setting a New Year's resolution and forgetting about it. So one thing, that we learned is that when you actually write your goals down, whether it's physically or electronically, you're 42% more likely to achieve the goal. So writing it down that's just something so simple that you can do that is going to almost double your chances of obtaining the goal. So why wouldn't you want to do that? Yeah, so I think with a lot of people too in goals, we set, if you're going by Brendan Burchard's dumb goal, where you have some big picture dream and vision for your life that may seem like out of your wildest dreams, and it seems so far away from reality that you're just like, how the hell is that going to happen? And even when you set a yearly goal, right, that's yearly is not even long-term thinking. Long-term thinking is 10 plus years down the road. A yearly goal is somewhat short-term thinking. Even when you set a yearly goal, how do you know exactly what you have to do to get there? A lot of times, just that not knowing can really trip people up. So one thing I always tell people to do when they set goals is you don't have to worry about every step that you have to take to achieve that goal. You're not actually going to know. Who really knows? Yeah, what you need to worry about is, what is the next step I can take that is going to move me forward? And a great way to get you some momentum, get you to actually move in the direction is think of, okay, for instance, so I set a goal. I wanted to take my family on a really awesome vacation this year. We travel a lot for basketball. Those are not vacations. Okay. We don't get to enjoy the scenery, early mornings, late nights. So I want to take us on a freaking kick-ass vacation this year. No basketballs allowed. And, that was a huge goal I set for myself. And rather than thinking about all the things that I was going to have to do to make that happen, I said, okay, what is a really simple thing I can do right now to move myself forward? And that was simply researching hotels in the area that we wanted to go. Spending an hour just looking at what hotels are, getting an idea of price. Whatever it is that you have out there that you want to achieve, rather than getting all caught up and paralyzed by not knowing what, every step you have to take, what is something small you can do, really easy that you can do that's going to move you forward? All right. And once you do that, what is the next thing you have to do to move you forward? After that, next thing. And if you're doing this where you're actually thinking about your goals daily and you're thinking about those next actions on a daily basis or every other day basis, you're going to continue making progress towards your goal. So don't think about the actions as some I gotta know everything. Just go step by step. No matter what, if you do that, you're going to make progress. And I know Ashley wanted to share some stuff on accountability, which is going to be super important. So I'm going to let you take it away on your thoughts on being accountable to your goals, and how can people actually do that?
This goes back to what I had said a few minutes ago about setting a goal and then forgetting about it. So having a accountability partner will be a huge thing that we can all do to get us to our goals. So for example, with the podcast, we didn't know exactly how to start the podcast, but we just took it step by step. Like Mary said, we did one thing and then, okay, what's the next thing and what's the next thing? Because you're not going to know all the details. But what we did was we had an accountability partner. So I knew that if I let Mary down, she would probably be a little bit irked. She may not say it, but she'd be like, oh my God, this bitch, And then I felt the same way. I didn't want to let her down. She didn't want to let me down. But it might be a goal that you're not going to always share with everybody. So how can you hold yourself accountable to these goals? A few little things off the top of my head is having a planner that you're actually writing physically something down in, or maybe having Post-it notes, or having your goals and taping them to your bathroom mirror. You could have a reminder in your phone. Look at my goals. It could be something so small that you didn't think would work. But being accountable for our goals is what's going to propel you to actually accomplish the goal, because that's why you set the goal.
Yeah, accountability is huge. I said earlier that, on my own, when I was thinking about a podcast, I set a goal for April 1st. And I'll tell you what, if I had not met Ashley and we realized, like, it was like like our stars just aligned when we realized, like, we need to do this together. Had I not met her and had another person to hold me accountable, I really don't know if this podcast would have been started. And that's sad to say because now I'm having so much fun, but it's the truth. Is there somebody in your close circle that you trust, not somebody negative, but somebody that is going to uplift you and support you, that you can be accountable to? And whether that's having, calling them your accountability partner and saying, hey, I have this goal. I want to talk to you every Monday morning at 8:00 for 10 minutes and let you know how I'm doing. Or maybe you guys have the same goal where you want to work out and lose some weight. You can hold each other accountable. Hey, will you meet me at the gym every, Tuesday and Thursday at this time? That is so important to be able to do, because when you feel like you're in it, I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but when you feel like you're in it with somebody else, we'll let ourselves down easily, but we don't want to let other people down. And regardless of how backwards and twisted that is, it's the reality. So use it to your advantage. So Ashley, that's awesome that you brought that up. I think that's so important to be able to have effective goals.
You made me think of that video we watched last week with Eric Thomas when he's like, "You owe you an explanation."
Yeah, exactly. We do that to ourselves, and if you don't have somebody that can be your accountability partner, like Ashley said, what can you do for yourself? What kind of built-in accountability systems can you have for yourself? Putting your gym clothes by your bed or keeping bottles of water everywhere, whatever the goal is. What things can you do for yourself that might make it more likely for you to succeed? So let's move on to our action steps.
Set one goal you can accomplish over the next 30 days. I know this is like our theme. Just start with one thing. That way you don't get overwhelmed. What is your why for achieving this goal? Remember, let's make it exciting. Let's make it desirable. Prepare a goal for your review process. For example, look at your goal each morning, track your progress daily or weekly, and review your motivators. Review the things that actually get you to the gym. Review the things that get you to write that story or whatever it is that you're doing. And how will you feel after you achieve this goal? I know I feel amazing when I actually check one little thing off of my planner. Think of these first steps and then just repeat that cycle. And how can you stay accountable? It's really simplified because we want everyone to be able to pick one thing and just be able to achieve it and feel good, have that confidence.
If you're of the audacious sort, though, and you're really pumped up about the vision you created after you heard our episode last week, and you really want to, stretch it out and set 3 to 4 goals for the remainder of the year, go for it. Don't let our recommendation of doing a 30-day goal hold you back. For most people, though, we think doing a small 30-day goals is a great place to start. Let's get you a win, because when you get a win and you get momentum, you're going to keep that momentum moving forward. But if you're somebody, maybe you've mastered 30-day goals, I don't know. But if you want to set some bigger goals for yourself for the remainder of the year, go for it. A great thing that I learned too was if you're going to set goals for the year, you should kind of spread them out to where the deadlines aren't coming all at once, to where you can strategically focus time on certain goals during certain parts of the year and then shift your focus to other goals during, the later parts of the year. So if you are one of those people that wants to go for it and set 3 to 4 goals for the remainder of the year that are going to move you towards your vision, think about how you can actually spread them out over the course of the year. That was we were really excited about that episode, guys. Again, if you didn't download our Life Designer Toolkit from last week, get it, because we take you through, setting your goals, and then we actually take you through the exercise of thinking about what are the next 3 small actions you can take that will move yourself forward. So everything that Ashley talked about is going to be in our Life Designer Toolkit. You can get it on thegrindtogreatness.com.
I have something I want to share that is super exciting, and it goes along with goal setting. As you all know, I've talked about Tony Robbins a million times, and he has a bunch of videos on just being 1 millimeter off. So you're setting goals, you're doing everything right, and you've been grinding for years or months or whatever it is, and you're like, why is something not clicking? Why am I still feeling that I'm not getting the full results I should be getting? What Tony Robbins' theory is that you're 1 millimeter off. He tells a story about how he went to take golf lessons because his kids like to golf, and he's, the first day he's power bombing his instructor. That was his words. And the next day he totally sucks. So he's like, instructor, what the F? Why am I power bombing it one day and then the next day I suck? Why can't I have some level of consistency? He said, it's simple. You're 1 millimeter off. So in golf, if you have hit the ball with the club at a 1 millimeter different angle than you did before, the ball's going to have a different trajectory. Same thing with life. So there's also a spot in your shoulders, and I wish I could visually show you guys, where you have a level of certainty, and then if you drop your shoulders, just a tiny bit uncertainty. Certainty, uncertainty. If you just feel it in your shoulders, you'll be able to find that sweet spot. And I'll put a link to the video in the show notes where you can see him doing this exercise. But there's a small millimeter in your shoulders between certainty and uncertainty. And if you're mindful of that, I believe that just even in your shoulders, you can exude more confidence. If you're working out and you're not getting the results, maybe there's 1 millimeter thing that you need to fix in your workout that can totally change the trajectory of your life. So think about this in all areas of your goals. It could be something at work. It could be something with your relationship. It could be anything. What's that 1 millimeter that you need to change that will put you in a total different trajectory? And so this goes along with goal setting, and I had to share this with you guys.
Actually, that is so awesome. I just love that, and I cannot wait for the people to watch that Tony Robbins video, because that's just so true. I think what we want to remind you guys about is that this is a lifelong journey. The first time I set goals, I didn't necessarily hit all my goals. I have been for years essentially experimenting people's theory after theory after theory and tweaking it to work for me, trying different things, realizing that some things aren't working and trying something else and realizing, oh, I really like this. This seems to be working. And you really just have to keep going through that process until you just find that sweet spot. And like Tony says, it just could be 1 millimeter. So if you're not feeling if you're feeling like you're not getting the results, do not give up, because it could just be 1 millimeter. That is so freaking sweet, Ashley. I love that you shared that. It's all about the journey, guys. You gotta start somewhere. And if you don't hit the first goals you set, you got to keep grinding. This is the grind. Remember, it's the grind to greatness. Words matter. And yes, life can be easy, but sometimes life is going to have challenges, and you're going to have to, be prepared to overcome those. So thanks for tuning in. We really, really appreciate all the support. Don't forget to download the Life Designer Toolkit to help take you through the action steps. We will see you next week.